Today is the shit going on in Ukraine. There is a so-called referendum occurring in the eastern portions of Ukraine that some of which Ukrainians military was able to overtake, but most of which is still under Russian control. They're going to do a referendum in Ukraine and say, hey, do you want to join Russia or do you want to be your own state? Great options. Where's the stay in Ukraine option? I'm not sure. But anyway, let's read this from NPR. So, this is from NPR. Let's read. A long line of cars pulled into the parking lot at a home goods store set up as a makeshift welcome center. People pile out of their cars looking exhausted but relieved. Some are crying. Many are smiling. Officials stop at each car, checking documents. This convoy is coming from the south, from places like Melitopol and Kherson, areas that have been occupied by Russia for months. We were waiting, hoping that the Ukrainian army would come and the battle for our city would begin, said 55-year-old Victoria Yermoleny, who left Melitopol with her husband and their dog. The dog is pictured here. But when we heard about the referendum, and we just couldn't risk it anymore. So here's the dog. I'm glad the dog is safe. That's the most important news here. Controversial Russian referendums have begun in the Ukrainian regions of Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson, some of which are only partially controlled by Russia. The voting is illegal under both Ukrainian and international law and is largely seen as a sham, as it's almost certain to result in Moscow's favor. But still, it could pave the way for the Kremlin to annex the areas, bringing them to join the Russian Federation. So, they did the same thing in Crimea. What they did is they overtook Crimea. They installed, patchless, badgeless soldiers that were just wearing green uniforms, referred to as little green men by the residents of Crimea, that forced people at gunpoint to vote in favor of Russia. And of course, Russia's like, oh, great, they want to be a part of us. So then they annexed Crimea, and then everyone else did nothing. Like, everyone else was just like, oh, okay, cool. And so, that's one of the things that has led to this moment. Of course, I don't think anyone with a brain would see something like this and think to themselves, oh, this is a referendum. This is a proper voting procedure. I think that this is, hey, you want to join Russia, right? So we have our neo-Nazi fucking mercenary guarding, just so you feel safe when you're voting in favor of Russia. We put some neo-Nazis out there just for you, just so, you feel a little bit more protection. It could also begin a dramatic escalation in the 7-month war, as Russia could use the referendums to illegitimately claim that any attempt by Ukrainian forces to retake land is an attack on Russia itself. The voting is set to run for 5 days until September 27. It's all staged and it's all fake, Yermoleny said of the voting as her husband nodded beside her. She said that their neighbors who stayed behind had plans to hide if Russian soldiers came to their house to get them to vote. Quote, but that's not going to help anyway. The Russians are just going to write the numbers that they need and be done with it. Of course, with this referendum, as with the referendum in Crimea, the quote-unquote referendum, there's really no checks when it comes to, like, who's voting, how are they voting, like, is there any evidence that they actually wrote down on this voting thing? Is there any evidence that this person's even eligible to vote? In the referendums going on, the quote-unquote referendums going on, Russian military troops are voting in favor of Russia because they live in the independent region of Donetsk or whatever. Oh, I live here. Just so happens I'm a Russian military invader, but I live here, and so I get to vote, apparently, even though that doesn't make any sense. Of course, a lot of areas in these occupied towns have been, there's multiple reports of genocide and torture. A lot of Ukrainian civilians fleeing, right? So you go into a city, occupy it for 7 months or however long they've had, in each of these individual cities. Right? You kill anyone that tries to fight back, right? That would probably be in favor of Ukraine, right? You basically make everyone flee that would be in favor of Ukraine. And then, a couple people stay behind. They're like, whatever. I don't have anywhere to go. And then they all vote for Russia at gunpoint. It's a good election system. I don't know, man. That's a good idea. Go in there, kill everyone that disagrees with you, and then everyone that you didn't kill would agree with you, and then you win. Wow. I love democracy. Russian news outlets confirm that door-to-door voting is how most of the referendums would be held. The Kremlin announced the vote so quickly that there was no time to put together key voting infrastructure, according to the Russian news site TASS. Rather than electronic voting, authorities will hand out paper ballots to residents at home. 9L Lysenko, 67, was also fleeing Melitopol. She originally is from Donetsk and was there when a similar referendum was held back in 2014. I saw what they did there, and it was all staged, Lysenko said. I mean, what can you do when they come to your home? How can you vote when they have guns? Again, Russia is just going to claim that, okay, they voted to join Russia, it's democratic, and now that's Russia. And so whenever Ukraine wants to take back their land, oh, you're attacking Russia. Oh, shit. Drop the nukes. Right? Vladimir Putin has said multiple times, quote, I'm not bluffing on nuclear weapons. He has said if anyone attacks the Russian motherland, I mean, nothing says Russian motherland like a plot of land that just joined 5 minutes ago. That's the Russian motherland, right? When I think motherland, I'm thinking someplace that just joined the Federation like 20 seconds ago. That's when I think of motherland, right? So, I don't know, man. I think that this story is not getting that much attention because people are now, you know how humans are. They're bored. Oh, Ukraine war. I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm bored. I don't care. I mean, if anyone, where are the World War III fuckers at, If anything's going to lead to World War III, this fucking shit. Again, it's an illegitimate, illegal referendum, right? Everyone that disagrees got killed or fled, right? And everyone is being forced to vote at gunpoint, right? So, okay. Russia said, if anyone attacks Russia, we will use nukes. They're going to claim that this region is Russian. Ukraine's going to disagree. They're going to try to liberate the cities. Russia's going to see that. They're going to say, oh no, you're attacking the motherland. I don't know, man. The World War III fuckers, I don't know, where are they? I'm not much of a World War III is going to blow up the whole planet, imminently person. But if I were, I'd be pretty fucking scared right now. When asked, Lysenko admitted that there is some support for Russia inside the areas where votes are being held, mainly among older people who have fond memories of the Soviet Union, but that is nowhere near a majority, and many are being bribed with humanitarian aid or double pensions. So again, they're paying people to vote in their favor. But she even said pro-Russian support is waning dramatically. With this war, many people have realized what Russia really is. The referendum comes alongside Vladimir Putin's recent announcement of the mobilization of hundreds of thousands of Russians, which has set off significant protests in Russia. Pro-referendum rallies are taking place across Russia as the voting starts up in Ukraine, but local media report that pro-Kremlin activists, students, and pensioners were bussed in for the rallies, sometimes for pay. Voting is also happening at sites in Russia to accommodate Ukrainian refugees who have crossed the border, according to the Kremlin. Oh, really? So once again, there's no document, really, procedure for who's voting, how are they eligible to vote, who even is eligible to vote. If Russian military, which has been documented voting in these elections, if Russian military is able to vote in an election in Ukraine, and they're allowing voting in Russia, I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyone that buys this shit, I don't know, man. You got to be pretty fucking stupid. I don't know what to tell you. But I don't know. If I'm afraid of World War III, this is the most afraid I am right now. Once again, illegal referendum. Russia's going to acknowledge it. No matter what, Russia's going to win in their eyes. Russia has said, Vladimir Putin has said, if anyone attacks the motherland, there's going to be severe consequences. He said he was willing to use nuclear weapons. Ukraine, that's their fucking land. They're going to try to take it back. So, I don't know, man. Just throwing that out there. I don't want to freak anyone out too much. But that's what I call force the vote. There you go. Goddamn. Anyway, there you go.